So I'll be giving a informative speech on how to buy a house. It's super simple. It's really not anything to it. So majority of the nation's population chases the American dream. Obviously, it's starting a family, getting a stable career, living in a nice house. I believe starting a family is the easy part. Finding a home, finding a career, not so much. In this day and age, buying a house can be fairly simple. Like I said before, it is simple, but you taking precautionary steps can release some stress off yourself. Saving for a down payment is huge. Recommendations say that you should put down at least 10%, but putting down 20% relieves the private mortgage insurance from your monthly bill. The PMI is huge. PMI does not go towards your interest, or it doesn't go towards paying off the house whatsoever. So relieving that off of it can literally save you thousands of dollars when it comes to interest rates. Getting approved for a mortgage, this part's the easy part. Long story short, you sit down with a mortgage adjuster, kind of like we are right now, and they just ask you a bunch of questions. After that, they give you a rough estimate on how much you should be paying monthly and how much you can get pre-approved for. There's a few different kind of loans the home buyer can pick from. Fixed rates or conventional loans, they're ideal. Your interest rate will never change. This is honestly the best option. If you make enough money to be able to afford like a 15-year term, that's good too. I guess what I'm trying to say is when you go to buy a home, you're going to get like a 30-year fixed mortgage, right? That's usually what it is. 15 years just means you're paying, you're only going to be paying for 15 years, but it takes a lot of the interest out of it because you're literally cutting it half. If you can make that much money to pay double what you'd be paying, I mean, it depends on what your mortgage rate is to begin with. But I know from speaking from experience, my family pays, it's about a $350,000 house for 30 years. They're paying like $1,200 a month generally. And yeah, thank you. Cut that down to 15, you're looking at like $2,500 a month. I mean, I don't know. I don't make $2,500 a month. I don't know if you guys do. I can't afford that. So, the next step is finding a good real estate agent. You can do most of the research on your own, but when it comes to negotiations, you want a buyer's agent. In some cases, they may be able to find you a house before it hits the market, which gives you the competitive edge. What's good about this is the seller, who's selling you the house, obviously, pays for the real estate's, like the buyer's agent fees. So that won't actually come out of pocket. I mean, it will come off the house, obviously, but they'll be paying for it, so you don't have to really worry about it. The next part to this is go house hunting. This is the fun part. Research is a crucial part. In my opinion, creating a list of features that you want and needs is important. Buying a home with your significant other can be challenging because obviously you both can have preferences and you might not agree on certain things. What I would recommend is you creating a list and then your significant other creating a list, and you sit down with each other and you compare. Then you create it's almost like a master list of what you both agree on and what you disagree on. Then you can take that to your buyer's agent, sit down and say, hey, this is what we agree on, this is what we don't agree on, and then he can look into houses for you. After you find a house, you submit an offer. This is where everything starts to get real. In most cases, you probably aren't the only person looking at the house, so putting in a solid offer doesn't mean it's yours. You want to be prepared for an all-out bidding war, in all honesty. But at the same time that you do get into this bidding war, the only problem with that is then you going over your limit, what you want to buy. Because you have a limit you're probably going to buy on or put down for a house, or that you want to buy a house for. And then that limit, if you get into a bidding war, it just gets out of hand, and then you lost your dream house. So I guess my best recommendation is don't go over that limit. Getting a home inspection and an appraisal is next. At this point, you're officially under a contract to your new home, so it's time for the contingencies. Contingencies are just different things that need to be met in order to complete the purchase. What's nice about these is they provide like a safety net for you to back out of the sale without losing the deposit if it goes wrong. What happens during a home inspection is a professional comes out to inspect the home of any structural issues or expensive repairs. The good part about this is every buyer is entitled to a home inspection. If the problem they reveal is major, you can obviously ask the seller to either fix it, you can reduce the price so you can fix it yourself, or you can just cancel the contract. That's like the safety that I'm talking about. And then an appraisal is just something that protects you from paying for than the actual home's value, or paying more than the actual home's value. So if the appraisal, I'm trying to say this. The appraisal obviously is just it's really gonna protect you. You don't want to pay more than what the home is worth, and then you come back and look at everything that you spent for the house and realizing that it wasn't worth it in the long run. So the very last step to this is closing on your house. All this really is just the documentation. It's a lot of reviewing and signing. On closing day, you should receive documentation for the closing costs, the prorated property tax, homeowners association fees, and the homeowners insurance. This is just the stuff you'll be paying on the last day. This is the time to ask questions, though. If anything seems off about the contract that you're about to get yourself into, you need to ask. Like, this is the time to do it. You're about to make a huge purchase, hundreds of dollars, and you really need to ask questions if something's up. So now that you know the steps in order to buy your first home, learning some tips and tricks won't hurt your journey. Different sources will also give you different information, but certain things that work for some people may not work for yourself. I would tell you it's beneficial to do some research, but I already did it for you, yes. So I got it right here. Start saving for a down payment early. A few $1,000s seems like a lot until you realize when you're trying to buy a $200,000 home, that $10,000 is only a 5% down payment. You're looking for 20% down payment to get the PMI out of there. You're looking at $40,000 right there. That's a good bit. So check your credit. If you have a good credit, you're more likely to get a better rate versus if you have terrible credit, obviously. The faster you figure out the credit score, the more time you have to fix it if it's bad. Also, try not to open any new credit cards around the time you plan to take out the mortgage. What the credit card company will do is they'll dig your credit score by running the hard acquired, and then what you could have be like 720, you try to get a new credit card, now you're back down to a 680 just from that, just opening up a credit card. It's like simple as that, and now you're not going to get as good as rate as you could. You should research state and local assistance programs, because some states, even down to counties in these states, will they'll offer like low down payments or just reduced interest rates for first-time home buyers. Knowing the steps necessary to buy a house is important. Also knowing a few tips and tricks is also good. It's important to know what not to do though when purchasing a house as well. Don't overbid at real estate auctions if you go the auction route. Like I said before, the bidding war can get reasonably high after just a few placed bids, and then you're out of the house. Don't buy a house for its decor. All the furniture looks nice now, but after the sofa's packed up and the vanity set is gone, it may not look the same. Buy the house to accommodate your lifestyle. Don't trust everything you see on a real estate ad. Decode the clever phrases that make an ad look amazing. The people that are putting these ads up get paid to make it look good, so don't let their work fool you. Don't buy the most expensive house on the block. You have to think about it. You're not going to stay in the house forever, so the resale value is going to go down. You buy the nicest house now, you're definitely not going to be getting the nicest house when you try to sell it. So you're not going to be getting all your money for it. All right, so today we looked at the process in order to purchase a house. The process isn't set in stone, but it's in place to ensure the most success when it comes to purchasing a home. Purchasing a house can be a fairly difficult task. It could also be a very easy task. Getting the upper hand by using some tips from people may have been successful in purchasing their homes, and that can benefit you tremendously just by doing research. And then learning what to do is just as important. Learning what not to do. A handful of right decisions can be destroyed with just one wrong decision. So that's all I got.